Hey everybody, welcome to Get to Know Your Wedding Pro. My name is Reed with Best Made Videos. We are a wedding videography company based out of West Seattle, Washington, and we are in for double trouble today. You guys might be wondering, why are there two guests on the Get to Know Your Wedding Pro podcast? And I've been trying to get Amy to come on for the better part of 2.5 years now. And on her artist writer clause, it says I can only be on podcast appearances with Bronwen. And so we are doing kind of a group 2-on-1 kind of dynamic duo, whatever. We're also doing this on video. So if you're listening, we're doing video today just because we can. And so it should be fun. I could barely get through the intro without you guys cracking me up. So we're done with all the whatever. So welcome, Amy. Why don't you say who you are and then we'll go to Bronwen. Who are you guys? What's going on?
Hi, I'm Amy. It's Amelia Soper Photography out of Woodinville, Washington. Yeah, I don't, that's pretty much it. That's like the long and short of it. Not super involved, I suppose. Bronwen's a little more interesting. She's got a lot of crap going on.
Let's hear about Bronwen. What's going on?
Oh gosh, I could fill a novel with what's going on with me. I'm Bronwen Houck Photography. Like Amy, I'm a Seattle native. I work mostly out of Seattle, and I do weddings, and I shoot a lot of weddings with Amy, and I also do a lot of work in the theater, dance, and film communities. I work with the Seattle Rep, and Shoes and Pants Productions, and Wes Hurley Filmmaker, and Kaleidoscope Dance Company. So, yeah, that's me, and I'm excited to be here with Amy and Reed, two of my faves.
Well, yeah.
I guess I could say I do pet photography too. I suppose that's another thing that I do.
But a lot of things.
I think that's good. I think that's valuable. We just did don't ask me why, for Dorothy's birthday, she wanted to do she like sings this song she made up about our dog Rosie, and it's to the beat of We Will Rock You, but it's We Will Walk You. And it's nice. But that was literally all she wanted for her birthday, was to put together a music video that was her singing. And then,
how have we not seen this video yet?
Well, we just did it yesterday. Her birthday was in the first week of July, but we just did it yesterday. And she loves it. It's on her Instagram. If you go to Dorothy, I think 321 or whatever. But yeah, that was our big claim to fame yesterday. Was our big work on that. So
fantastic! Add it to the resume. Right. Music videos for dogs.
Yeah,
I like it.
Only that's it. Only
that's it. Bestdogvideos.com. So talk to me about you guys. I know even Dorothy thinks of you guys just as like this pair. We hung out at the that Seattle photographer some Christmas party. I can't remember. I think that's where one of the photos you sent over was. I mean, how do you guys know each other? You guys have been, you're just like glued at the hip. What's going on here?
Sadly, not glued at the hip for the last 4 months, which is so sad.
Oh, I miss you, Amy.
I know, I miss you too. The last time we hung out was in Vegas, really.
That's right, which is where
at WPI.
Everyone would say the last time we hung out was in Vegas.
For Barry Manilow, I saw that.
Yeah, but Amy and I have known each other since the 7th grade. We went to Eckstein Middle School together. We became fast friends because we're both weirdos. Mm-hmm. And we formed a very creative, weird friendship. And when Amy went to a different high school, we became pen pals and wrote elaborate, in-character letters to each other over years and years.
Like with our Pentel pens and everything. Like
tons of
legit,
stickers.
Stationery, all of it.
Yeah, that's how we kept in touch.
And then we lost touch through the end of high school and then college. And then years went by and other magic happened in our lives. And then was that 2007, I want to say?
2008, I moved back to Seattle. I went over to the East Coast for school and stuff. And then I moved back in 2008. And independently, we had both become professional photographers, which is a little weird.
And there's something I wasn't a photographer in high school or college. So it's not like it was a thing that we did, we worked on yearbook or anything. Just randomly happened. And then I was shooting a wedding and she was there. And I was like, why are you here? What's going on? And it was awesome. And then it was just, you do that, I do that. was great.
And Amy might not know this or remember this, but I had been shooting mostly dancers and family portraits, and I had wanted to be doing more weddings, and I wanted to wheedle my way into being Amy's intern right when I moved back. And it took several years of pretending I just wanted to have coffee before Amy finally said, "Would you want to second shoot a wedding with me?"
I totally remember that.
I was like, gosh, that had never occurred to me, but I guess I could. And then I was like, I'm in. And then we've been shooting weddings together ever since for years now. And it's so much fun. It's amazing.
It's the best. It is the best. It's just good to have somebody there the day of that you work with so easily, that gets along with everybody, that like brings along your level of weirdness plus a little bit more, and awesome dance moves, and will get people on the dance floor, which I'm not that great at, and can get any baby to smile, which I'm also not that great at. So it's a win-win all the way around.
This is why she keeps me around, is the dancing and the baby smiles, and I'm all into it. It's great.
It's pretty much it.
Well,
and the drives to and from the venues where we can sing in the car.
Well, that's the thing is, you know, with your second shoot or whatever, you get all these husband-wife teams that all work together, and then, you know, you figure you're living together and you're shooting together and you're driving, you know, it gets to be a lot where you guys, it's like you get to party, and then, right, then you kind of go live your own superhero lives, and then you kind of join back together for like the Avengers, right, at weddings. Is that how you guys kind of feel?
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
it is fun because Amy and I think the same things are funny and the same things are weird. And we like to gossip about the same people at the wedding. And we have to take our shoes off around the same time at the wedding. We get each other. So it makes it really fun.
So I want to hear how you guys got involved in photography, kind of hear your own stories. So we can start with Amy. You said you didn't really do photography and stuff in high school or anything. How did you get involved in kind of creating, you know, art?
So, yeah, I didn't do photography. I was always like artistic, and I painted and I drew and stuff as a kid. But I had a friend in high school that would go on trips and come back and do like slideshows at his house, like nerdy ass slideshows of his trips to like Peru or whatever. And it was beautiful. And of course, at the time I was like, I want a big camera like that. So I can do pretty photos because you don't know any better. And at some point I got my first SLR film camera, and basically just the same thing I do right now. I just took a lot of photos of cats and did that for a while. And I had a friend at work that was like, "Hey, I know you like photos. Can you come shoot my wedding up in Orcas?" And it was 2004, July 3rd, 2004. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I went up, I shot half on film and half on digital. And I came home and I edited on whatever crap software I had, like Corel Paint on my like 15-pound Dell laptop computer. And I was like, I wish I could do this all the time. It was so much fun. It was so creative. And my boyfriend said, well, why don't you? And I didn't really have an answer. And by the fall of the next year, I had quit my job and took out a bunch of student loans. And I went back to school. And I went to the Art Institute, which is sadly now gone, and graduated there in 2007. And yeah, that was pretty much it. And then quit my day job in 2014 to do this full time.
And what was that?
It took me a long time.
What was your day job?
I worked at Overlake Hospital in the admitting department. Before I left, I worked there, and then I worked at an oncology office, and that was where I left when I went back to school. And then the nice thing about working at a hospital is there are a lot of weird hours to work. So it was nice to be able to work like just weekends, and then I would work 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then I would have like 2 to whatever to edit and shoot whatever during the day. So it was exhausting. And you think, well, when I quit this job, I'm going to have all this extra time. I don't know where all the time goes, but I feel like I didn't gain any time back somehow. But yeah, I think that it took me a while to decide if I wanted to do it, mainly because I enjoyed it so much. And I was worried that if I quit my job and it was like my full-time thing, I would resent it and I wouldn't want to do it as a business. And luckily that hasn't happened. So yet.
And Bronwen, what about you? How did you get involved in all this photography nonsense?
Yeah, so I decided that I wanted to go to college far away because I love Seattle and I knew I would move right back after college. So I went to Princeton. I went over to New Jersey and I didn't know what I wanted to major in. And I took one Renaissance art class and I was like, this is it. So I became an art history major. And in that department, you could take 1 or 2 visual arts classes for credit. So I was like, well, black and white photography. I mean, this is chemical trays, high as a kite, 4 a.m. in the dark room photography. It was glorious.
The best.
It was the best. And the professor at the time was Emmett Gowan, who is a spectacular photographer. And he was so kind and inspirational. And I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do, you know? So I did some more of that. I wrote my thesis on Cindy Sherman, who is the most spectacular photographer. And then I accidentally moved to New York. I graduated and some friends invited me to New York for a year, which turned into 5 years. And I started shooting in New York. I was doing a lot of headshots because everyone in New York is an actor. My friends were actors. Headshots and dance. And I got a couple weddings, which I shot on film, which is just thinking of that now is exhausting to me. The 3-day wait between dropping off the film and not knowing if you had a single photo of the bride and then, picking it up. And then I got a great job working for a photo agent in New York, Marshall Pinkstaff, who became kind of my mentor. And I got to look at photo portfolios for 8 hours a day. And I learned a lot from that, and talking to photographers and being on photo shoots in New York was really exciting. And then I decided I had to get out of New York, and I moved up to Boston and did some postgraduate stuff at the museum school up there. More darkroom work. Their darkroom, right after I left, was converted to a giant lab full of computers. I think they still maybe have one enlarger in a closet somewhere for people who want to do vintage photography work. So then I moved back to New York. I started working in the ad business. I was an art producer at Saatchi & Saatchi and BBDO. All the art producers were young female photo majors, all people who love photography, because that job involves also looking at portfolios for 8 hours a day and hiring photographers. So I learned all about the ad industry and knew pretty quickly that I had no interest in going into that world. So I was like, I'm just going to focus on my family photography and all of that. And then I was like, also, I have to get off the East Coast. I meant to come right back to Seattle, and I spent an extra 10 years on the East Coast. I met my husband. We were both ready. He's from Colorado. We were both ready to leave. So we jumped ship and came back to Seattle, and I launched Bronwen Houck Photography. Actually, first I tried to get a job in advertising in Seattle during the recession in 2009, and that did not work out. And after about 3 months, I was like, why? I don't even want to be in advertising. Why don't I just launch? I had one of those, revelation moments that I think Amy had, where it was like, why aren't I doing photography full time? That's all I want to be doing. And then I just, launched it. And then it's slow start, and now it's going great. So.
You went to Princeton?
I did. I went to Princeton University, or as many people who went to Princeton say, I went to college in New Jersey. Because you get funny looks sometimes when you mention Princeton. But yeah, I went to Princeton.
Wow. Because that's like one of those like East Coast, right? Like big timey schools, right?
It is. Yes. In the middle of beautiful New Jersey. So yeah.
It's so interesting hearing both you guys, because I think that there's a similar thread, and it was the same way when I was in Bakersfield doing news, and then moved back up to Seattle and like trying to apply for like all these jobs, and well, I guess maybe that could fit, or maybe I could do that, but just not really feeling that, just the connection to want to do that, right? And then instead, kind of creating something that works for you and what you wanted to do. Do you guys feel, Amy? Do you feel like that you excel in being able to really make this what you want it to be and do what you want to do? I think these us like creative types, but just do you enjoy that?
I do. It took me a while. I had my first really terrible, awful wedding, and I want to say it was 2008. It wasn't the one I met you at. They were lovely. They still are lovely. But I had just the worst wedding. And it was one of those weddings that made me think, if I have to do more like this, I'm not going to be doing this for very much longer. And I realized I don't have to say yes to every job. I don't have to my people have to like me. They have to want me for me. And it's okay to say no. And after that wedding where I was like, nope, this is the worst. This is just I can't do this anymore. I started really thinking about my business and making sure that all of my personality was out there as much as possible. So by the time they get to me and we actually connect, they already have a really good idea of where I'm coming from and who I am and if I'm probably going to be a good fit or not. And that's been so much better. And I've enjoyed my clients so much more since then, since it's become more of a partnership than a client, hiring booking thing. It feels much more natural and much more like I want to do these weddings. I want to give them everything, I want to enjoy everything that they're enjoying and be a part of every little bit. So it works both ways. I do better for them. They give me more of what I need to do as much as I can, to make everything perfect for them. So I think that revelation of you don't have to just say yes. It's hard to say no to a paycheck. It's really hard to say no to a paycheck. But at the time I still had a day job. So that was allowed me to be a little more flexible than I probably would have been to say no to people. But I've had people say, could you shoot in this way or edit in this style? And no, you found me for a reason. Like, why would you have me do something else? Especially because there are so many incredible photographers in the area. Why shouldn't you just go with them? I mean, it's better for both the client and the photographer if the fit is right, and if it's not me, that other person is out there that can do a much better job for them. So I would rather them go with somebody who is going to do the best possible job for them, even if it's not me.
Yeah, it kills me when people are like booking and then they're like, "Oh, here's some videos that we like," and it's like totally not even.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
I or the best one I had was it last spring? I think it was last spring, not this, the apocalypse, but last year. And the mother hired me last minute, and it was one of those like April weddings, and you're like, I don't get a lot of April weddings, just with video, we just don't. And so, we do it, send it to the bride, gave them like extra drone footage, like all this stuff. And she absolutely hates it, like absolutely hates it, can't stand it, like doesn't want to look at it, hates everything about it. And like the mom had like helped pick the music, and I had assumed that the mom had, talked, or I don't know, had some semblance of what her daughter would want in the video. And so I emailed her back and I said, I'm really sorry. Like this is, I feel great about this, what's going on. She never watched a single thing on any of this, like at our site at all, like hadn't even looked at the site, hadn't even looked at anything. And I'm like, okay, well that's, at that point, I feel like the weight is off my shoulders at that point. Like that's a really tricky situation.
Yeah. Why would you hire anybody sight unseen? That just seems.
Do the research.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bronwen, what about you and the clientele you like to work with, and thoughts about that, and kind of carving your own niche and just being able to run your own ship?
Yeah. I think everyone will agree that the best way to get the clients that you want is to just be fully present and fully yourself when you're photographing. And then those people who that speaks to will recommend you to other people who have that vibe. I used to lecture at the Art Institute back when the Art Institute still existed, and all the young students wanted to know what makes the most money, what do I have to do, which shoots do I have to do, quote unquote, in order to do the shoots I want to do. And I would say, you don't have to do anything. What you want to do is make the shoots that you want to do. You know, I happen to love going to weddings. I love it. One of the reasons I love photographing them is because I flipping love weddings. I love cake. I love dancing. I love
cake.
I love that. I love cake so much. I love everything about it. So I'm having a good time. And I think that comes across in the photography. If you hate attending weddings, if that is your nightmare, it's going to be hard for you to capture that in a loving, warm, wonderful way. So I would tell them, if you don't go after the money, go after the jobs that you can make what you want. And also, say yes to things that you've never done before. I mean, I got a lot of weird jobs by just, people always ask, do you shoot this? Do you shoot that? Do you shoot cat portraits? Do you shoot mimes? I mean, I did a whole mime shoot, because someone said, do you shoot mimes? And I thought, well,
yeah.
I shoot dancers, I shoot actors, mimes, of course I shoot mimes. I tell everyone, just say yes if it's something you want to do. If it's something that sounds horrific to you, you can say no. That is really hard, as Amy said, because maybe you want the paycheck, but if it's going to be a bad experience for you, it's also going to sour the photos and sour your experience of your own business.
It's never going to be enough money either. It doesn't matter what that paycheck is. It will not be enough for whatever it is. If you hate it, you will pay someone else to do it.
Yeah. Just the thought of editing a shoot that was a horrible experience. I mean, it doesn't end when the horrible shoot is over. You have to, got hours that you got to look at the horror. So yeah. So just making every shoot what you want it to be, and then your personality comes out in the photos. I mean, it's just about that. It's about being true to yourself and true to what you've built.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, sometimes going through those early on, I had a lot of those like really long like Asian weddings, or really long like the 2-hour tea ceremony in the living room, and we're trying to record all this stuff, and you just have like panic attacks about like, I'm gonna have to go back and like look at all this stuff, and I don't even know, and it was so terrible, and I just do you guys find that the joy that you obviously have, and anyone that's seen you guys work, it really translates to the photos? Do you feel like you're able to put yourself and that energy that you guys have into the photos that you guys are creating for your clients? Amy, we can start. You guys can both answer. But
yeah, absolutely. I think that, like Bronwen was saying, it's kind of I mean, I'm sure there's photographers who can do that, who can just turn off whatever interests them and make something beautiful. But I think that the energy that we bring, like, I am not a fly on the wall photographer. I'm also not an in your face during inappropriate times photographer. I'm not going to be up behind you on the altar, but I will whip your family in line, and I will scream at your groomsmen by all means. I will make fun of them. I will do whatever I need to do to get people where they need to be, and keep it fun. And I think that that's the key, is keeping it upbeat and light. And I have an odd ability, which just works well for wedding photography, that my stress usually comes off as, it's great, everything's fine, everything's gonna be great, it's gonna be fine. I don't get angry or pissy when it comes to like stressing out. It's just, we'll figure it out. And if I do at all, it's in the car on the way there, where Bronwen has to tell me it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's always fine.
We do a lot of pep talks.
We do a lot of pep talk. Yes. For anything leading up, we're looking over the timeline and whatever. But yeah, I think that upbeat personality, and that the fun, I try to be funny and engaging with people, and silly, because those are the things that get people to naturally laugh and naturally be themselves. And you have to keep things moving constantly, because nobody likes to be static. Photos don't look good static. People need to constantly be engaged in some way. Otherwise, they either think they're doing something wrong, or they get really bored really fast. So I think that, and your personality regardless is going to come across. If you aren't somebody who is that upbeat person, you can't force that, I don't think. And I don't know, maybe you can.
Well, that's another thing. That's another thing about finding the clients that are right for you and that you are right for, because some people would probably be annoyed by how upbeat and hilarious Amy and I are. They would just want us to shut up and move on, and would want more of a taskmaster or something. Those aren't the kind of people that we speak to or that speak to us. And so we tend to put a lot of our personality into all of that, the banter and the setups and all of that. And then people, I always say, it's not just the photographs, it's the experience. People are going to hire you and recommend you if they've had a good experience. If the hour and a half, or the 10 hours at their wedding they spend with you are a positive experience, that can actually come away as a better reco for your business than if the images are all perfection. Because people remember experiences and how they felt after they met you and after they had the shoot. And then if they're looking at the pictures and they had a good experience, that comes through when they're looking at them. I mean, I have been at weddings as a guest where the photographer is barking at people. My cousin's wedding, where I met my husband, the photographer was just yelling constantly. And the memory of the photos is the yelling. We look at the photos and we remember the yelling. And what you want is someone to look at the photos and remember they had a wonderful day, whether it's an hour they spent with you for, kiddo photos, or their headshot, walking around the city getting headshots. The photos should just, that glow of that wonderful experience should already be in there. And that makes the photos better. And if you're having a better experience as a photographer because you've got banter and you've created a relationship, that's going to come through when you shoot. So I feel like that is a huge part of it, is creating those relationships. And sometimes you have 3 minutes to create that relationship, and you do it. Put your whole self out there, Yeah.
I think that's part of that whole, like I was saying, everything on my website, everything before they even get there, they already have a pretty good idea of who I am and if it's going to work. If I seem like somebody they can connect with, all of the about me section, all of it is tailored to somebody who I'm just chatting with, to friends, because if you don't get it, or you don't think it's that funny, or you think it's obnoxious, then you're just going to skip right by it. And I hope that you do, because I don't want to work with people that don't think it's fun and whatever, because that's part of my process. That connection is like you were saying, it's a huge part of the process. And if there's no connection, those photos just don't magically happen, for me at least. I have to have that connection with people.
Yeah, I know what you mean with like the website stuff that, because I always, if I haven't worked with like photographers before or whoever vendors, I'll always like go on the websites and look. Yeah. And sometimes you like read these websites and you're like, this guy seems like the biggest like douche, or like, what is going on? Like, it's so funny to me sometimes. Yeah. How people like put their websites and stuff together. And I guess obviously then you're attracting a different, I've always said, I'm not the best videographer in the world, but like Bronwen said, I think that the experience that you have will like elevate that video, right? Because like you could have the best videographer in the world, but like you said, if he's getting in the way and being the turd and making people feel uncomfortable, then you're going to feel that afterward. Where if you're like, well, we really liked Reed, and then you get the video, even if it's like not the best, it is what it is, right? I'm a news videographer at heart. Like that's just the way that I'm trained to do it. But I think then you just feel like, oh wow, that was really great versus, just like putting apples to apples on like a website or something,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the connection isn't there, and then you have to let it go. We've all had a shoot where we show up and it's not going to happen. And no, my jokes are not flying. And
you're just waiting for like a bum.
Yeah.
No? Cool. Okay.
And it's like, ooh, tough room. And then maybe that client doesn't hire you, or maybe that client tries to hire you and your experience was not good enough, that you want to do that again. Or you try to charge them 3 times the amount. And then if they take it, then you're like, okay, I can do this.
It's so weird though, when you have people like that who you show up, you feel like nothing's landing, like the photos are fine. not what you love, but they're their photos, so whatever. And then you're like, well, that person's never going to call me again. And then they're like, every spring, there they are again, and you're like, really?
Yeah,
really? All right.
I will say that's why it is nice to shoot with somebody that knows you, because we can at least laugh about how no one's laughing at our jokes when we're at a wedding together, and then we can laugh at our own jokes together. So
and we do that constantly.
No, I had a bride who her fiance was like stationed on like the East Coast, or he was abroad, and she wanted to do he wanted to do a Skype thing, and then we were going to do a video with her in person, kind of like letter writing, whatever thing before the wedding, and then show up on the wedding day and then do kind of their small wedding. And I thought, oh well, this will be great. Like I'll really get to know her, get to know him, and we'll do all this kind of stuff. And yeah, same thing. Like we show up at the wedding day, and it's like not like crickets, like nothing the whole day. I'm like, we spent like hours together doing this stuff ahead of time. Like, cause I don't do a lot of like engagement sessions or anything. I'm like, man, like this would be nothing the whole day. Like, just whatever. And I was like, well, that's fine. Whatever, I guess that works. And then, yeah, like she wrote this review that was like, just like a page long, like, he made it like a movie and this was so amazing. And we felt so, and I was like, where was all of this on the wedding day? And now like we're friends on Facebook and like whatever. But I mean, some people, you never know, right? Like you never know what, I don't know, wedding days pull different emotions out of people sometimes, I guess, right?
Well, Bronwen, you and I had that wedding last fall that we had no idea how they were feeling. Like lovely couple. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
Lovely couple, like beautiful, wonderful, so wonderful, but couldn't read them like all day.
Just no feedback.
Yeah. And like a little bit of smiling and like it was completely fine. Like that was it was completely fine. Gorgeous day, so much fun. And right at the end of the day, we learned like how much fun they really are. And we were like, oh.
Yeah, I had no idea. In like the last 5 minutes of the wedding that they were fun, hilarious, people. And we were like, oh,
all right. And wrote the most lovely review and like just, it was really funny. But sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah. It was funny.
Do you guys?
That whole day we were like, well, we're still funny, right?
I know. I think obviously we are.
Do you guys ever get sick of working together? Do the jokes never work for each other? Or are you guys just so in sync now? You just love each other.
It's surprising. Well, so, Bronwen was kind of worried. She had mentioned before we left for Vegas, right? We had never been we'd never traveled together before. And we were like, oh God, what if we hate each other? What if this is a terrible experience? And
we went to WPPI in Vegas. It wasn't just a gambling trip. We went
for business.
For business.
Yeah.
Well, and to see Barry Manilow.
Oh, we did go to Manilow. Yes.
Yeah, obviously.
I mean, and Cirque du Soleil. But it was a delightful surprise. I shouldn't be surprised, but it was a delightful surprise that it just was, it worked perfectly. I mean,
it was the greatest trip of my life. We had so much fun. It turns out we we should have known, travel together beautifully. Yeah. We have all the same, wants and needs. We're great communicators. Everything that works for us at a wedding worked for us for a week in Vegas. And it was glorious.
Yeah.
But I've never gotten sick of Amy once in my life.
Nope. Me neither. It's kind of surprising and it's a little frightening. I'm not going to lie, but yeah, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop, but it honestly hasn't. I wasn't shocked about it, but I was like so delighted that everything worked so nice when we traveled and we were with each other for like constantly for 5 days, where it was just like, so I was thinking this, yeah. Or, it's 2. I feel like we could get a beer, right? Yeah.
It's important to have someone who's on the same drinking schedule as you.
Yes.
But another thing that's interesting is that we have gone where we'll do a full summer of weddings through October and then not see each other for 6 months. So there has been something seasonal also happening. I mean, now we haven't seen each other because pandemic, but there have been years where it's up and down, and then wedding season comes along, and then again, it's all Amy all the time.
Yes.
And it's just dance party
Constantly.
And then it'll quiet down for a while. But what's great is it always picks right back up when it's time to pick it up. It's not awkward ever when, April comes and it's time to shoot a wedding together. So
I think it's that thing about both of us are very easygoing and amicable and logical and polite and kind people, where it's just like thinking this or that, or what do you think? I think that's great. Okay. Like the ability to work together and like just, plus she works with a lot of small children, which I think helps with her ability to deal with me sometimes.
I am well versed in childlike logic and qualities.
Yeah.
Do you guys find that you get the same kinds of clients generally, the weddings that you guys are at? I mean, what's the kind of couple that works with you guys or that you like to work with? I mean, obviously, easygoing and stuff, but I mean, what are their like wants in photography, or what do they? I don't know. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think warm and friendly and colorful. We're both very colorful photographers. None of those moody filters, which can be beautiful, but would not work for what I do, and maybe not for Amy. Storytelling. I think they really want that arc of the day storytelling, Amy's incredible at detail photography, all the shoes and the jewelry and the flowers. And I mean, her detail stuff is just gorgeous. And I think that comes through on her website. And I think, the people, I've been really impressed with the details at the weddings of the people who hire Amy. And I think part of that is they're like, ooh, we got to get Amy in here to photograph all these incredible details we've spent time on. So I think that's definitely part of it. What else?
Yeah, I think Bronwen on the same side takes great candid photos, which I think is also maybe why it works really well. Like we kind of are good at different things, so that mesh works well together. But yeah, I mean, we both shoot a lot of queer weddings. And I think I do have people who ask quite often why that is. And I really think that it's because the thing that I personally love the most about weddings is uniqueness and fun and different traditions and not cookie cutter. And I think that all kind of comes through because there aren't any specific traditions and you get to do your own thing and make it your day. And I think that comes across more so with gay weddings. So, and because I like that and it's fun and it's bright and it's colorful, like, Bronwen was saying, it all shows through, that joy and the fun and everything shows through. Plus, like we were saying before, like you share what you want to get back, the stuff you put on your website, that is what you want people to hire you for. Don't put crap up there that you don't want to be hired for. I don't shoot a lot of church weddings. I don't have them on my website because it's not really my thing. I prefer a barn or a backyard or a winery. I shoot them sometimes, but it's not really my jam. So
do you find that the connection to the couple is more important than, like you were saying, and this goes for both of you guys, than necessarily the environment? Do you really jive on having that connection, and then it could be kind of wherever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. 100%.
I think if it's all gorgeous and glorious and there's no connection, you can get a lot of good photos, but sometimes it's missing the magic. And then if you have the connection and you're in a field with nothing, you can really make some magic happen. So I do think the connection, and part of that is forming that relationship, even, way before the wedding, and emails and whatever, phone meetings. And I think the connection really makes it.
Well, and knowing what those things are, right? Like I have a thing on my website that talks about like, you deserve more than just a a photographer. You deserve somebody who knows the difference between your fake smile and your real smile, so that when you're going through and you're editing photos, you know which ones to clip out, because you know that that's the one that comes before the true smile. That's the actual one. And you know who they are. You know that they don't like certain things about themselves, that you can, take things out and work around that, because you care about them, because you have that connection. So it matters to you. And I think that having that matter makes a big difference to both, the photographer and the client.
Yeah, it's so hard, that connection. We had years ago now, we used to do these, it was that Get Hitch, Give Hope. And I think, Amy, I think you were involved in that too. And we had auctioned off one of our packages one year. Well, we did it a lot of years, but one of the years we did it, and it was like the most gorgeous wedding in the world, like all this money and the Four Seasons and like ice sculptures and like a runway and like all this stuff. And I just remember sitting there and I was talking with the photographer and I was like, this is really not where I'm supposed to be. Like, I'm really glad that they have a video and I'm really glad that I get to be here and be a part of this, but this is really not, I don't know anything about this. I don't really know them. I don't really know what, I'm just kind of just here. Right. And it's really weird when you're used to, like, you guys really being so involved in the pre stuff and the emails and the meetings or Zoom meetings right now, if we have to do it. But it is really weird then to like be stripped of all of that and be like, I don't know this for anything. Like, what is going on? Do you guys feel like that you really need that connection ahead of time? I saw Bronwen kind of nodding.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, showing up to something sight unseen is really stressful for me, because, not knowing if I'm going to be able to get that connection that's so important, and then having to just tell myself, just do the job, is really awkward for me.
It's a bad feeling.
It is a really bad feeling, because, at the end of the day, you're like, all right, well, I did my job. But I don't want to just do my job. Like, I don't want to do the photographer's job. I want to be that person who can anticipate things, because I know them and I know what they want. I know they probably didn't want to talk to Aunt Sheila for 30 minutes. So I'm going to go grab them. I'm going to say, you know what? I need you over here for something, because I know they don't want to talk to her. I want to be there to help them. I want to move chairs. I want to grab them a beer. I want to, that's what it's all about. And if you don't know that person, you don't know what they need. And you're not able to get it from them.
I will add to that, though. You don't have to know them for months and months. I mean, Amy and I both book jobs that are 2 weeks out because someone lost a photographer, or they just decided to get married or get photos taken. You can make those connections quickly if you need to.
Super sweet, I'm not going to read it or anything, but like this wedding that I just had, that I had talked about on the other podcast, Reed, that was the backyard wedding, my COVID wedding from a couple weeks ago. And they planned their entire wedding in about 3 weeks. And they were the most lovely humans. And we did their engagement like 3 days before the wedding. And they sent me like the longest thank you note. I mean, it's the sweetest thing ever, and it makes me cry, because they're so appreciative, and they know how much you care. And when you have that connection and you just want to see them have the best day, it could be 30 minutes. It could be a couple emails. I mean, I do like to do it in person. You get a lot more from that, obviously, but yeah, it doesn't have to be a year-long romance. It can be, a couple weeks. It could be a 30-minute coffee break. It's just, if you click, you click.
I think that's a really good point, Amy. If you show that you care, and then I know from you do actually care, and I feel like I care. I mean, if you really care, you're going to want those connections, and you're going to be able to make them,
If it's just a job,
if it's just a job, it's hard to get into that mode, right? Or if you hate what you're shooting, that's why I say, if you hate going to a wedding, don't shoot weddings,
Just don't be a wedding
hate children, it's going to be hard to make beautiful pictures of children, because all of your anger will come through the lens. So shoot what you love, and just care about it. I mean, I do think that's where the connection comes from, is just and loving humans. I mean, Amy and I both are people. We love people. We think people are fascinating. We don't love all the people, but we really like humanity in general, I feel like, and so we're interested in getting to know people and making an experience that we can all enjoy.
Well, and when you really care, like Bronwen and I literally, not last year, I guess it was 2 years ago, we were at a wedding at Janik, and was it 2 hours? I think we stayed 2 hours after we were done. Like, we were legit done for the night. We ended at like 9 or something. And we were there until like 11 dancing with the wedding party and hanging out. And it was so much fun. And I've always kind of got my camera out. And Bronwen's like, we are done. You can put it away. Let's just go dance. But I don't know, maybe something fun's going to happen. And maybe grandma's going to be on the dance floor, or you never really know. But it's the caring about it. It's the actually having fun and wanting to be a part of that fun and capture that truly for what it is. And like you were saying, Reed, like that experience and them being like, oh my gosh, our photographers were so fun. We had such a good time because they were out there enjoying themselves. And, my clients, I feel like, mention that more than not. Like, I loved seeing you guys enjoying yourselves, enjoying our day. Because it's not just a job. Like, that makes you realize, like, this party is a great party. Our photographers were even dancing. Like, it was such a fun party. So I think that while it's fun for us, I think the surprising benefit is clients appreciate that too.
Well, and that's not an isolated thing, because you guys, when we had that wedding up at Semiahmoo, it was the same thing, that we had to drive back. Oh, yeah. Joel and I had to drive back, but you guys were spending the night. But it was the same thing. I mean, that's not like an isolated, like a once in the ever thing of you guys wanting to, just to really be caught up in the moment and wanting to enjoy it.
Yeah, my goal is always to see how long I can get Amy to stay and dance after we're supposed to leave, because I will dance all night long. And that 2 hours that we stayed was a personal triumph, because I can usually convince her maybe 15, 20 minutes and then we got to go. But that was...
Well, it was also easy. I think that was easier because it was at Janik, which is a solid 5 minutes from my house. So I didn't have a long drive home. She did, but I did.
I did, but I'll dance all night long and then drive home. I don't care. So, but yeah.
And that Semiahmoo wedding also wasn't like the only Semiahmoo wedding that happened at. We were until 4 a.m. at another wedding.
We're trouble at Semiahmoo. I'm going to be honest. When we're just staying there, it's hard to stop. We just have fun. We love to hang out. We hate to be the last one. We hate to be the first one to leave a party.
Oh yeah, it's FOMO. That's what, I have that on my website too. Like, so much of why I love weddings and why I like documenting parties and being like part of the in crowd at weddings and being the one who knows everything that's going on is because of FOMO, man. Like, I don't want to miss out on anything. So...
no, that was like when we had the part of that Christmas party thing we were at. And I think I had to go to Vegas the next day for work. Like, I had to go fly down, and that Dorothy was there with you guys. And she's the same way, that it was like, oh, we don't want to leave. And I was like, man, I gotta be on a flight like at 6, like we gotta go. Like,
bye.
But no, she's the same way. And it's definitely that. My question for Amy though is, although you like to keep the party going all night, what about 3 a.m. phone calls from brides following the wedding?
It wasn't 3 a.m. It was 11 p.m.
Oh, I thought it was like in the middle of the night.
No, I had just gotten home and I got a call. Like, I was uploading images and I had my glass of wine, and first I got a call that I ignored because I thought it was a butt dial. And then I got a FaceTime request, which I didn't answer. And then I got a text that said, bitch, answer your phone. And it was the funniest thing ever. So yeah, I got a bride who I don't think remembers, honestly, that this happened. Who I was like, oh God, maybe I left something at the venue or something. And mind you, this bride was trashed. Great wedding, just trashed. And I got this call, and I was like, okay, I guess I got to answer it. So I answered it. And she was like, I just need you to know how much we love you guys, and everything that you don't know that we saw that you did for us. We know you did for us. you guys are so great and thank you and you're the best. And I hear her now husband in the background, babe, why are you bothering that poor woman? And she said, because Amy's my best friend. And I said, can I talk to your husband? Let me just talk to him real quick. And she's like, should I put it on speaker? No, just hand him the phone. And he gets on the phone and he says, I'm so sorry. And I said, it's totally fine. I hope you guys have a fantastic evening and have a great honeymoon, because they were leaving the next morning at like crack of dawn on their honeymoon. And he said, if she calls you back, don't answer the phone. And I didn't. So, and then I don't think she remembered it, but yeah, that was a good one. That was definitely a story to be told. But yeah, it wasn't in the middle of the night. Unless you're thinking of the other one where I had the bride who was banging on my door in the middle of the night who was talking about divorce.
No, I don't know if I
that
know
was a different
that story. That also sounds good.
Maybe has all the stories.
But I mean, the point is, and it's not to make fun, and God bless her, and she's still,
they're great. Yeah.
I mean, it's not to make fun. It's to say though that the connection that you guys build with your clients is infectious. I mean, that's the ultimate point. It's not to, it's not to poke. A little bit of fun, not too much fun.
A little bit. It was sweet though. And you know what? We have all been that person who was drunk and made a terrible phone call. And if we could all be that person who like made a phone call that was that sweet and kind just to say how much you loved somebody, hey, you know what? More power to you. Yeah. It's fine. It was very lovely.
That's great. Lots of energy. That was better than I think I had like a 2-word review from her that I think I still have on the video on my website. And
nice.
I was like, really? Like Amy gets a phone call at 11 at night and I get 2 words, but that's okay. Bronwen, how you hanging in there?
Great. Awesome.
Loving life.
Loving life. It's so nice to see you both on this computer screen.
No, we need to do coffee or like at a distance.
Yeah.
So sad.
Well, we're getting close to our time being wrapped here. It's been so much fun kind of getting the Double Trouble duo today. Before we go, I guess this last question, what are you most excited to get about getting back into weddings? I know right now it's kind of a weird time, and that kind of curtails into just, what do you love about weddings? I know we've kind of talked about that a little bit, but what do you miss? What are you looking forward to? What about each of you guys in your jobs and what you guys like doing? Bronwen, let's start with you.
I'm just excited to be at some weddings. I miss Amy. I miss seeing, couples in love. I mean, I cry at every wedding. I fall in love with every single couple I photograph. I'm just a hopeless romantic, and I miss that kind of joy and even though it can be stressful, I miss feeling all those feelings that you feel in a 10-hour wedding shoot day. It's such a wild ride, and then dancing the night away. I am known for photographing while I dance on the dance floor. So I miss those moments and getting up real close to people while they're dancing and flashing them right in the face and having them look at me like I'm nuts.
I think you should tell the story about the wedding that we had at Fred Wildlife. One
of our great stories is we were at Fred Wildlife. May it rest in peace.
Or Fred
Wildlife Refuge, right? Yeah.
That's it.
They got closed. And I was dancing and I was photographing, and all of a sudden, I was dancing near one of I think she was the sister, maybe, of one of the brides. Anyway, long story short, all I know is suddenly I'm toppling this way, she's toppling this way, and when I came up for air, her high heel shoe was stuck into my shoe, and I'm waving my foot around with her shoe in it, and she's on the floor totally laid out with no shoe on.
Hysterically.
And luckily Amy caught the entire thing in like stop motion animation with me. She hooked her shoe in my shoe and we both went down. That was a good time. Nobody was hurt. No dancers were hurt.
There was some hysterical laughter. That was it. Like it was
the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me dancing, and I have been dancing a long time. So that was a good one. But yeah, I miss that. I miss dancing with everybody. I miss doing the Roger Rabbit across the floor. I mean,
all your Zumba moves.
I miss pulling out the Zumba routines, but yeah, but mostly I just miss that like long day of feelings. I love it. I mean, it's so exhausting feeling all the ups and downs, and getting to know these couples and, all the weird family members and, figuring out who's who and the cake. I miss the cake. I've got to get more cake in my life. It has been a summer devoid of cake. It's just disastrous. So, but it'll all come back. I'm confident it'll all come back, and I'll get to see Amy again, and it'll be great.
Amy, what about you? Oh, sorry, I hit the mic.
I miss Bronwen. I do. I miss our shenanigans a lot. I've had a couple weddings, COVID weddings. I had one last weekend, and it's obviously not the same, and everything is distanced, and I kind of miss seeing people's faces. There's so much mask wearing, but which is good. It's perfect. Yeah, it's great. But it is, different. And I miss the cake. I miss, what you said was so perfect. Like that, like day of feelings, that just showing up and rolling through everything, and that troubleshooting day of and trying to figure things out. That's like kind of stressful, but still so much like part of that like excitement of the day. And, it's no fun not having a wedding season. I miss all the vendors, all the other vendors, Reed, I even miss you, man. It's rough. That's where we're at right now. That is where we're at in the midst of COVID. I've reached the I kind of miss Reed portion of it.
We've got the missing Reed phase.
We should have had a wedding on August 1st.
I guarantee you that's not on anybody's bingo card. Me missing Reed. We should have had one, but now we have one in February.
Which is great. That was a great call. That was a great call for that reschedule.
Yes.
Middle of February. Excellent.
Shout out to Chelsea. That was a
good one. So.
I do. I miss all of it. I was so happy last weekend. I had, it was the most, normal wedding that I had mainly, the other wedding that I had, that backyard wedding was a fairly normal too but this one had like a bridal party and a planner that I love working with. Shout out Andrea Pink Blossom, and who did an incredible job with all of the moving parts of this is restricted. Now it's not. Oh, just kidding. Yes, it is. And you can do this, but you can't do this. And wait, now you can't do this. It's incredible what planners are going through right now. And just that roller coaster of an 8-hour day. There is no 8-hour days anymore. I mean, even with smaller, even with weddings, for me at least, I haven't had an 8-hour day of anything. Oddly, it still is exhausting when you haven't been working, and then you're like 4 hours. Ugh.
I know. I did a full day of headshots, which is just like 15 minutes at a time, and I was totally wiped. Yeah. It's all still exhausting. I also miss wedding fashion. I love wedding fashion.
Yes.
Wedding dress shows are my favorite. Say Yes to the Dress, Posh Frock Shop. Everyone should be watching Say I Do, which is the Queer Eye team doing weddings, a different team of people. But and I have a wedding in September that's 2 brides, and all I can think about is how excited I am to see what they wear. I can't wait to see some dresses.
Well, this is like so many good, like we were always pointing out, like that dress, were you there with me? I think we're like, that dress would make a great jumpsuit.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that
design
dresses should all be redesigned into jumpsuits. It used to be like, well, you could dye it and wear it again. But
you could cut it short, but now it's like, how do we make it into a jumpsuit?
Yeah. Just split it and re-seam it and make it into a jumpsuit.
Yep.
There should be more jumpsuits, I think. Yeah, I miss it all.
That's perfect. Well, that's a great sentiment to leave it on. Turn wedding dresses into jumpsuits. I think that's good. I think that'll be the thesis. That'll be my tagline for the episode. So
make that the title.
Thank you guys again. I know, Amy, it's been a what do you call that? Ahab, Captain Ahab, trying to get the whale
White
to
whale?
get you
Yeah.
to come on the podcast, but now we did. Bronwen was on. It wasn't so bad. Nobody got hurt. So that's been great. Before we let you go, just both, where can people find you guys if they're interested in, all the fun and wackiness and zaniness? Bronwen, where would we find you online?
Yeah, I'm at bronwenhouckphoto.com. Find me there. Email me anytime. I'd love to chat with anybody. I miss people. I miss humans. Please email me.
Bronwen's one of those people that you have to be like, please check on your extroverted friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Amy, what about you?
I want to mention Bronwen is also on Instagram, even though she's never on there.
I tag you when I can.
I know. Thank you all for tagging me at what's my Instagram?
It's Bronwen Houck Photo.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
That's pretty
That's
good.
great.
Yeah.
That matches my website. That was a good choice.
Yeah, right? Hard to forget. Yes, you can find me at soperphotography.com. You can also find me on Instagram at your friendtographer. You can find our shenanigans from weddings. The hashtag is #ASP wedding karaoke. I think I also
highly recommend.
It's highly entertaining. Yes. I miss that a lot.
I know we could just do Zoom karaoke or something. We got it. We got to keep up our game. I mean,
I was watching the other day and I was tearing up a little bit. Yeah, it's so much fun. Yes. And then you can follow our 3 new kittens if you want to at the Foster Bros 3. I'm going to give them a little plug. Yes, because that's really my entire life right now is cats.
nice.
Well, perfect. Well, you guys killed it. Thanks again.
Thank you, Reed. This was so fun.
Oh,
Yes,
good.
thank you for having us, even after so many attempts to no avail.
We're good. And like I said, maybe this will just be a video podcast from now on. So that'll be good. We'll get to have all the fun. And you guys were like trailblazers, as always.
Woo!
If you guys, everybody should have to be on video now. If we had to be on video.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm leaning. So,
yeah.
If you guys are like Amy, Bronwen, if you're interested in coming on the podcast, sharing your story, you can go to www.bestmadevideos.com/podcast guest. And that's a nice, easy questionnaire. You guys didn't have to fill that out because you're in the cool club. But for anyone else, thanks again. Be sure to check back next week for another wedding vendor interview and check out our Best Made Weddings podcast that Amy was just on, talking about, photographing weddings right now during COVID. Lots of other great topics. We just did a whole one about micro weddings earlier today that we recorded. So thanks again and stay safe, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.